Hi, I'm Joe. Thank you for watching this video. This video is from a series we're calling Stories from the Mouth of the Columbia River. We hope you enjoy this video and will like and subscribe.
The bar really is really unknown to most of the country. I mean, my editor and publisher in New York, neither of them had ever heard of the Columbia Bar. So it's that obscure to people, in places like New York and Los Angeles. But it's the story of the bar, because as we're going by, and it's something he didn't really know while we were doing it. It was all going on in my head because he hadn't done the research. But each time we'd pass a spot, I'd realize, oh, that's where the Rosecrans went down. Oh, that's the Bessie Buoy. That's where the Bessie wrecked. Or, that right here is where the Hawaiians must have held the funeral for that guy who died on the Tonquin. I mean, I would be aware that all of that history was all around me on that water, and that all of these, all these people had lost their lives crossing the bar, and so it was richly dramatic for me, not just on a personal level, but because of a sense of being connected to the history of that place. Well, the Graveyard of the Pacific is defined differently by different people. I mean, at the Maritime Museum, the Graveyard of the Pacific is the Columbia Bar and environs, up and down the coast a short way. But to some people say that the Graveyard of the Pacific is basically the northwest coast, of the United States into British Columbia. For my purposes, it is the Columbia Bar and that area. How many, the Maritime Museum states that there have been 2,000 ships, and that's been reported often. I can't find the names of 2,000 ships, although there's certainly more than 1,000. But there's been many, many boats that have gone down and aren't identified as, quote, shipwrecks, but many more people have lost their lives in boats, and some of those boat stories are as dramatic, if not more so, than the shipwrecks. But the bar was defined by shipwrecks. I mean, from the very beginning, the first major European shipwreck of a ship called the William and Anne, it actually ended up being what caused the dissolution of the Clatsop tribe. I mean, it's a long story, but each one, shipwrecks caused the construction of the jetties. Shipwrecks caused the, all kinds of configurations of that area and of this area, economically, politically, and physically. There's so many of the shipwrecks are haunting. Like in 1 year in the late, or actually it was really more like the mid 19th century, 2 ships, actual ships washed up on Clatsop Spit that were completely devoid of people. They were just ghost ships that somehow ended up on Clatsop Spit. So those images are haunting, but in terms of shipwrecks that you really know something about, I think the one that I found most haunting involves a ship called the Rosecrans, and it had a lot to do with the construction of the North Jetty. In fact, it sort of was the event that triggered the construction of the North Jetty. I think it was 1913. But the ship was already considered kind of a jink ship. It had been built for the military as a troop transport, and the military found it was so expensive to operate. It was, it consumed so much fuel, and had various mechanical issues that they offloaded it basically to an oil company based in San Francisco that refitted as a tanker. Immediately it got into an accident in the Channel Islands that punctured a 25-foot hole in it. As soon as it got repaired, the entire ship was basically burned out from end to end by an oil explosion. So then it had sort of a reputation as, quote, a jink ship. But the oil company still wanted to keep using it as a tanker. They had it, once again refitted and prepared to ship a big load of oil from San Francisco to Portland. And the only way they were able to get a crew was they hired this young captain. He was a famous captain on the West Coast, Lucien Fields Johnson, because he was the youngest American captain. He became a shipmaster at 29, which was unusual. And so they trusted him. So he brought it in, tried to cross the bar in 60-mile-an-hour winds. The waves are so high they kill the fires that were running a steamer, and suddenly it was without mechanical function. It began to drift, and it hit hard on Peacock Spit and ruptured. And while they did manage to send off a distress signal, but while the ship was sinking, all of them, it was 37 of them, I think. It was 30, it might have been 30, it was around 35 men climbed into the rigging to hold on. And one by one, they were swept off by the waves, including the captain, and pulled into the sea and disappeared. By the time the rescue boat arrived from it wasn't called the Coast Guard then, but there were 4 men still clinging to the rigging. One of them became so overwhelmed by the idea that he could be saved that he tried to leap off the rigging in toward the rescue boat, got caught in a wave, and he swept away, and he drowned too. So only 3, it was 37 now I remember, only 3 of the 37 came off that boat alive. When you read about what those people experienced, for one thing, I mean, many of them are in winter or in storm swells. So yeah, 6-foot waves in a kayak can be kind of terrifying, but these people were out there even though they were in ships, we're talking 60-foot waves, that hit you on the bar, and you have to understand the physics of the bar, or what make it so dangerous, because there's all this, it's shallow, a lot of it, where the sandbars are. So these waves come in at 60 waves come in at 60 feet high, or maybe they're 50 feet high, but when they hit the bar, they start to dig in, and they flip up, and they get even higher, and they crash down on a ship so hard, even a big, not a huge ship. It won't do this to a huge ship, but it will do it to a big boat or a small ship. It does what's called a pitch pole. It will plunge it down so deep, just like the Ama did on the beach, that it digs in on the front, and the boat flips over, or the ship flips over. And once that happens, it's tough to get out alive, although amazingly sometimes people do.
Thank you for watching this video. We hope that it was interesting to you, and if it sparked in any way thoughts you may have about stories from your family or friends or anyone, we'd love for you to make connection with us. Go to our website at tamingthemouth.com and click on the contact button, and we look forward to hearing from you.